Right, let's talk about the election in South Africa some more. The director of Awal Socioeconomic Research, Angelo Fick, joins me now from Johannesburg. And African Affairs analyst Bamitale Jeje is right here in the studio with me. Good to have you both gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
I wonder, let me begin with you, Bamitale. What's your assessment so far with the process and the seeming outcome of this election so far?
Well, thank you for having me on this news program. Well, South Africa has always been a model for democracy in Africa. And the process, despite the allegation of double voting, the process has been good. It has been well, it has been free and fair. We see it from the results. First time you see a ruling party, African National Congress, who has been there since 1994, losing some very important places and also losing votes to the opposition. So it's been fair and it's okay.
Okay, fair and okay by your own assessment.
Yeah.
But let me bring in our other guest right there. If he's there, let me confirm. Okay, my guest right here in the studio, Bamitale, believes that this election has been free and fair, but ANC's performance so far leaves so much to be desired. Since 1994, this is his worst outing yet. What does that indicate for Ramaphosa's ability to actually, carry through his policies, including fighting corruption and, of course, bringing South Africa, especially the black majority, back from the brink of poverty and economic imbalance?
So for Mr. Ramaphosa, 57% is, I think, not the victory that they would have desired at 60%. But I don't think it is necessarily an indictment. What I think we have here is an African National Congress that is being given the signal by the electorate to self-correct. It's also unfair, I think, on the South African government to say that nothing has been done since 1994, that in the last 25 years, several achievements by the African National Congress have made South Africa what it is today. It's only over the last 10 years that the kind of corruption, state graft scandals have really damaged the ANC, and that is the work of Mr. Ramaphosa's party, in addition to building the society and making it more equal, has to work very hard.
And there seems to be a lot of lack of voter confidence. When you consider the fact that 6 million young people who could have registered and made a lot of difference with this process did not go out there, what do you think this indicates?
So the problem in South Africa is that there is great voter non-participation, whether this is outright rejection of the electoral political system or whether it is apathy is a question that hasn't been fully resolved. We know that there is greater alienation and severe lack of trust in the electoral system by many young people. South Africa is a majority young country, and it is now incumbent on all political parties, on the entire electoral system, to reorient themselves towards getting those people involved, because without their involvement, the future of South Africa cannot be conceived of. The majority of voters eligible to vote are under 35. They are the least well represented in actual turnout at the polls. And so it's not just work of the ANC, but on all political parties and all institutions of the state to re-immerse those young people into the electoral system as a matter of urgency.
And Cyril Ramaphosa has owned up to the fact that there is widespread corruption within his own party, the ANC, and he says that has actually stood in the way of the party delivering on its electoral promises. What do you think will change? Is that likely to change in the next term?
So going into the sixth administration of the post-apartheid Republic of South Africa is the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. The sixth administration parliamentarians will also have all sorts of parliamentary commissions that they could institute in order to help undo the corruption and its consequences. Strengthening the oversight committees like SCOPA in Parliament and other oversight committees would mean that it is possible to wrestle back control of the state mechanism. But that would require the new National Director of Public Prosecution, Advocate Shamila Batoyi, and her people to actually charge and punish through the judicial system those who are implicated. And some of them, it is alleged, are senior members of Mr. Ramaphosa's party. The test of Mr. Ramaphosa and the governing ANC will therefore be whether they stand by their senior officials or whether they allow the course of law to be taken in South Africa in ways that possibly implicate people's senior positions in the party.
Bami Talejeje, African Affairs Analyst, let me seize the opportunity to say thank you very much for joining us on the news. But let me go back to Angelo Fick, who is right there in Johannesburg. Now, let's even talk about the other parties, the Democratic Alliance and the EFF. With everything they had to offer, the EFF saying that it will expropriate land without compensation, and of course the DA that even Nelson Mandela had accused of being a stooge of the white minority. Their message did not seem to resonate with the voter. What do you think went wrong?
For the Democratic Alliance, EFF?
Both parties.
So with the Democratic Alliance, their conservative voters migrated to a fringe party called Freedom Front Plus, which focuses on representing the interests of what they say are white South Africans. And therefore, they did not grow beyond their 22% and may actually go down as low as 21 or 20%. So they have internal business that they would have to deal with, of having to let go of the old constituency of their party to embrace what is an overwhelming majority of people in South Africa. White South Africans make up 9% of the population. The party has 58% of those on its list going to party as white South Africans. And that disjuncture, I think, sits very uneasily with the majority black voters of South Africa. The economic freedom fighters have grown, and I think that is despite speculations that they were a 6% party in 2014. What they've actually done is appear to have gone to double digits in this election, and that growth is because they appeal to rural poor and urban poor people who feel that the ANC is not meeting their needs.
All right. Angelo Fick, Director of Socioeconomic Research, Johannesburg, thank you very much for joining us on the news. Bami Talejeje, African Affairs Analyst. Let me just throw in one question. You're a young person from all indication. Yeah. Do you think young people in South Africa missed the opportunity to actually be on the driver's seat? All 6 million could have gone out there to decide which way the pendulum would swing, but they did not. What do you think, are the factors here that has or that have kept them away from the polls?
Yeah, I think it's, young people are partying in elections all over the world. You see, most young people are fed up with the system. They have constantly shown their anger through protests, and you can even see most of the xenophobic attack that happened in South Africa was actually carried out by the young South Africans. They're tired, and they kind of see the system as a rigged system that that favors some certain group or certain element in the South African political system, and they don't feel this impact. The unemployment rate in South Africa is very, very high.
27%.
27, yeah, that's a lot. For an economy that is adjudged to be one of the best in Africa. And then you see a lot of young people getting out of school, not getting jobs, good jobs, and they just feel like they're left out of the economic progress of South Africa, even after the apartheid regime, the promises that was made, that okay, now that we are blacks, we are taking over, we are going to improve on the economy of young black people and all this.
Before I let you go, you just talked about xenophobic attacks, and I need to take you up on that because it's something that affects Nigeria directly. So many Nigerians, over 120, have lost their lives in a space of 2 years. Yeah. How do you see that changing at all going forward? Well, and what needs to be done for that to actually change? I
think what the government needs to do is to improve on the economy, because you see most of the anger, not just on Nigerians, the attacks are also on other African nationals. The anger is that, look, we don't have jobs, and foreigners are coming in to take our jobs. So if the government can create a very good policy that will expand the economic base of South Africa, that will also include both foreigners and those who are citizens of those countries, having jobs, opportunities, it will reduce to some extent that xenophobic attack on foreigners.
Right, I have to leave it there. Bami Talejeje, African Affairs Analyst, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we're joined earlier by Angelo Fick, researcher right there in Johannesburg.